We are a couple hours away from the maintenance kicking in Master Duel and bringing Kashtira to the game. I have a dilemma though that I would like your opinion on. Is it worth trying to win my final game to get into Master Rank and grind to Master 1 this season? Or should I just stay in Diamond for my sanity? To be fair, with Floowandereeze, if you take a look at our match history, like I mentioned to you in all my previous videos, you can see that our run has been quite easy, only losing 4 matches in our past 20, dating all the way back to Diamond 4 in our match history. You can see that we pretty much easily breezed through all of these ranks up into Diamond 1, and now we're just 1 win away from Master. But I really don't know if it's worth trying to go through Master with Floowandereeze again, and I don't really want to try to learn a new deck, because when Fenrir hits the game and it's in every single deck, you know, one of map, one of Empin, banished face down, unobtainable for the rest of the duel, is going to make it pretty hard for this deck to survive. So, I don't know, Konami, are you going to release another ban list? That's kind of what you did in Duel Links, actually, surprisingly enough, and DK made a video about this where he said, are people going to come back to Duel Links because you made decks viable again? Like, Konami, come on. Why would you kill a number of decks that don't need to be killed? Floowandereeze definitely is one of those now. The power creep in this game is absolutely insane, and it is one of the reasons why I am considering potentially moving on, at least in the TCG. You know, Empin and map and stuff like that is at 3, and the deck still is bricky. You even have 3 Pot of Prosperity, but the deck is at least playable, so I can enjoy the deck in real life without these silly limitations that you've put on it in Master Duel. While some reason you are keeping things like Tearlaments at more or less full power, 2 Merly, 2 Havnus, 2 Sharon, Kit Callow still, that is wild. Elf still in the game, that's wild. That's just wild, you know. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, like, you know, these cards aren't a problem, but this is. I'm going to keep bringing it up because I know Konami's going to watch one of these videos. And whichever one they watch, I want them to know. Anyways, let me know what you think about continuing on into Master Rank, or if we should stay in Diamond. Maybe I'll put up a poll. I don't know. We're going to take a look at some of those matches, though, because some of the matches in Diamond 1 are interesting. So let's go ahead and get into that now. This matchup in particular is kind of nutty. Kind of my go-to phrase. Match that I think is good is nutty. Anyways, we are going second. Our opening hand would have been nice to go first with, but hey, that's how it goes. You know, you open your going second hands going first, and you open your going first hands going second. What else is new? I am 100% salty all the time now, so if you don't like it, I guess it's time to unsubscribe. Just joking. Anyways, in this matchup, we are going up against Pendulum. Pretty cool. I think this deck is fairly interesting. So props to the player for playing it, because God knows when Kashtira hits the game, all it takes is for Generaider to lock one of your pen zones, and that is a GG. So, you know, killing an entire mechanic of the game with one archetype. Whew, what a genius move. Anyway, moving on from the sarcasm, the opponent is kind of comboing off here because, you know, Floowandereeze, we have to accept the fact that this is how it is. We don't play interruptions, we play board breakers, so we can't complain about this. Like I said, I have nothing but respect for this opponent going with Pendulum. It can put up quite an impressive board, but I do think that the opponent was struggling a little bit. Maybe they didn't open like the optimal hand, but I thought that this deck, if it goes uninterrupted, can basically search out all of its pieces. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, they do end up getting Spell and Trap, going into Appaloosa, which is fairly standard, but they don't put up the other, like, I think it's called Vortex Dragon, which is the Omni Negate, or go into Baron. I've seen these end boards be very, very oppressive before, and that's one of the reasons why like Dark Ruler was so good, is because it literally breaks this board, and it plays around the Pendulum Graph. So the opponent has a stacked hand. We can anticipate at least one Ash or something probably in hand. We know they have the Pendulum Graph set face down. They have an Appaloosa Negate, and I guess that's really all we have to worry about. So not really the most oppressive board, which was kind of surprising for this deck, because like I said, I know it can put up a lot more, but maybe the opponent just didn't have the cards needed. We top deck into Evenly Matched, which is crazy, and I'm like, oh right, Konami does love me. Maybe I shouldn't hate them so much, right? I don't hate you guys, by the way, Konami. I actually love you guys, but like I just think some of their decisions are a little bit questionable. You know, a healthy relationship, there needs to be back and forth, there needs to be that honesty, right? I think we need to establish that. Anyways, the opponent changed Maxi to my Extravagance for some reason, not sure why. We draw into another Evenly, which is crazy, but we, you know, would have been good if they put up Omni Negates and negated one and we just play the second one, but it's fine. This is wild. I can't believe they opted to banish their Appaloosa here. I guess they really value the Star Pendulum Graph, but getting rid of Appaloosa, and I'm just like, whoa, I can actually play. So they're going to get the follow-up off of the Pendulum Graph to search for a Magician card, which is fine. We're going to be able to play during main phase 2. Now, what I end up going for here is very odd. I thought for about 30 seconds when I summoned this Eaglin, hoping that I didn't get ashed, by the way. What do I want to do? And I ended up searching for Ryza here. And what you're going to see me do is actually quite interesting. So, of course, because we hard drew Empin off of the Extravagance, we're going to summon that first. And we're actually going to grab an Advent of Adventure. This Advent will now search for maps since we have 2 birds and we're able to search the Toucan off of the Robina. This is standard fare. You've seen me do this many times already. We're going to now get all 4 birds in rotation with the map and bring back the Empin off of the Toucan. And we also have Stree in rotation. The nice thing is, I think these decks usually play 2 of this card here, the Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom, which copies the Electromite. So we are going to banish Electromite off of Stree to prevent the follow-up of the Supreme King Starving Venom Dragon King thing, whatever it is called. So if they do play a second one on follow-up, they are not going to be able to copy the Electromite effect like they did during turn 1. Because we're not winning this turn since we're in main phase 2, we were playing for board breaks to set up a control. This is what this deck does. It's why it's actually kind of fair, believe it or not. We don't OTK you. We are a control deck, so we are basically going second. We have to try to break your board and set up our game, and then you still get another turn. That's how Floowandereeze works. So you have it and this opponent has 5 cards in hand. They got follow up. They're ready to go for next turn. So we're actually gonna go ahead and do our best to again try to control the match, which isn't great. We're gonna force them to draw into Max C, right? But no, because the opponent I think gets a search during the end phase. So they got a decent follow-up. I think we know maybe 2 cards in hand, but we do have map for the normal summon, and we do have Dreaming Town as well. With the Empin in Graveyard too, we're going to be able to recycle it with the Stree and the Toucan, so we will get the added benefit of 2 tribute summons. The issue is we don't have the Unexplored Winds on board to out the opponent's card. So this game is not over by any means. The opponent can definitely still put up a decent board, because we look at their extra deck, they still got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards in their extra deck, even though they did go through some of their more important one-ofs, most likely like Selene and obviously Electromite limited to 1, but they probably have another Supreme King, they probably have Access Code, they probably have Baron, they have the Vortex Fusion Omni Negate card as well, so they probably still have a lot of gas that they can go through. So we just passed turn off this, no monster on board. The opponent is going to set up Scales first, and I'm going to immediately activate Dreaming Town because I don't want them to get the Oath Dragon Magician effect, which may be a misplay. Again, I'm not too familiar with these decks, so I'm not 100% sure on what they want to do, but I'm not feeling too bad because if I understand the pendulum mechanic, when they pendulum summon, because they don't have a link monster to summon from their extra deck to the zones that their link monster points to, I actually want to prevent them from double summoning and getting a Beyond the Pendulum on the field potentially, right? So if they end up pendulum summoning 1 monster from their extra deck, from their face-up extra deck to the extra monster zone, I can Book a Moon it to lock them out of their extra monster zone, right? So that's what I'm thinking of, and that's why I'm like, okay, activating Dreaming Town here might actually be fine, but in hindsight, it's probably wrong because I probably should have just let them pendulum summon and then activated Dreaming Town so that I can flip everything face down. So yeah, I'm just like realizing this now in real time that this was a misplay probably. So yeah, we're gonna just go ahead. I think I don't know why, but I think I was just really fearing this pendulum effect. Add 1 face-up Magician or Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, because they're on 2 and 8, so they can just add anything. Maybe this card again, and then they get the search because this card can't be special summoned from the extra deck. So I'm guessing like they add this back, they pendulum summon it, right, with some other cards. They're able to extend. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I didn't want them to resolve the Oath Dragon here. So we end up going full rotation, and if you're paying attention and you're smart with this deck, you realize that I just went through all 4 of my birds, which was a misplay too in and of itself, because what I should have maybe done, yeah, I definitely think I should have only summoned 2 birds, summoned the Ryza, bounce cards back, and then when they normal summon, but I guess it would depend on them normal summoning, I go through my other 2 birds, summon the Empin, and then tribute over Empin for Ryza, then I get double use out of Ryza, but that would depend on them normal summoning. Because by going through all 4 of my birds on the Dreaming Town here, it means that if they normal summon, I can't do anything with map, right? Because I already went through all my birds. So that, I didn't realize it until after I did it, and I was like, oh shoot, I just realized I just made my map useless. So the opponent does indeed have another extender, which is expected, so they end up putting up Purple Poison Magician, which is fine. They summon out the Performa Pal, which is going to be able to pop and search 2, so they pop their Maxi, which they know is useless, and they did draw it for turn, it looks like, or they had a second one in hand anyways. But I'm not feeling too bad because I'm like, this is actually incredible. Purple Poison Magician, pop map. I have evenly matched in hand. They're probably going to try to out the Empin, and then I'm going to Book a Moon, this Pendulum. So my field is going to be clear. They're not going to OTK me, and I'll just evenly matched, right? So sure enough, they end up normal summoning. Again, the opponent probably didn't realize. They were probably like, oh my god, if I normal summon, they're going to map. But they didn't click into them that I actually used up all my summons already. So map was useless. So that misplay, I end up dodging it. The opponent did not try to capitalize on it. They forced out the Purple Poison to pop map, which is totally fine. So on the normal summon of Skull Crobat, I end up booking the Pendulum, or not Pendulum, sorry, the Performer Pile monster that's in the extra monster zone to lock them out of the link zone. And now I'm putting them on, well, you've already Pendulum summoned, you can't link summon. All you can do is, you know, just whatever you can get with your normal summons on board. They attempt to special summon, and that's where the DD Crow comes in clutch, banishing that Time Star Magician. Now they're going to activate another Purple Poison, destroy it to pop the Empin, which is fine. I'll take the 1800, and then, or did I even take that? I don't even know. I'll evenly match, putting them on the Skull Crobat only. They activate the Odd Eyes Dissolver and then activate Butler, which isn't going to do anything for them. And then they end up not even scooping. They end up losing due to time limit, because they did take a very long time in turn 1 to set up. So pretty insane match, but we had full control at that point, and we had the Apex for Omni Negate. The opponent was in top deck mode. So GG's. Floowandereeze is too powerful. Ooh, this opening hand is technically playable, but we are very susceptible to an interruption, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and Extrav, and this is actually okay because we draw into Robina. Having 2 birds with an Advent is huge, but our shifter is offline. However, if we really wanted to, we can end up cycling and maybe banishing the Extravagance to make our shifter live, but we'll see what we can do here. The opponent reveals Ash, which I'm like, that's okay. I'm actually happy to bait that out right now because, again, we have the extension to play around 1 interruption. This deck would have normally been completely stopped if I didn't draw 1 of 3 cards in a 40-card deck in the Advent of Adventure. This deck is not broken. We could use more maps so we can play around interruptions. Anyways, the Ash Blossom does stop the Robina, but we are going to be able to extend with Advent to search map, activate map, which is a 1-of, activate to reveal Toucan, and we're going to banish the Eaglin here. And this was crazy. The opponent has Imperm as well. I'm like, oh, that is interesting. So the Imperm will stop the Toucan from getting back the Eaglin, and this is what I've talked about in previous videos where like you can activate the Eaglin and the Toucan both, so in case the opponent does have Imperm, you still get the bird back to hand. But I hope you realize that in this situation, since we already used our normal summon, this is why I didn't do it this way. There was no point in doing that. I didn't need to activate the Eaglin effect in case my Toucan got negated, because I can't normal summon off of the Toucan anyways. So I might as well just leave this Eaglin in the banish pile and play around it from there. However, in hindsight, you always want to chain block your Eaglin. So I should have summoned the Toucan, targeted the Robina, and brought back the Eaglin so that when I summon Eaglin during my opponent's turn, if they normal summon for map, I could chain block the Eaglin, because God knows, you know, the opponent probably has 2 Ash and an Imperm, because that's how it goes against Floowandereeze, the deck that is so powerful that loses to 1-hand trap. Anyways, the opponent ends up normal summoning Lone Fire, and I'm just like, okay, most likely Generaider. And sure enough, off the normal summon, we trigger map, and we normal summon Robina, target the Eaglin, and I'm like, okay, don't have to worry about Imperm now. There's no way the opponent has 2 Ash, right? Like, there's no way. Okay, of course. Double Ash and Imperm. That is absolutely nutty. So our turn is over, or, you know, our extension play during the opponent's turn is over, and the opponent brings out the Mardell, and this is basically GG's for me, because bring Field Spell, win the game. However, for some reason they bring Vala and under Dimensional Fissure, which is odd because I think Generaider also plays banishing cards, but they really shouldn't in my opinion, but hey, that's just me. It says for the effect, once if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 other Generaider card from your hand to the graveyard, send 1 other Generaider card from your hand to the graveyard. You can send a spell, but you can't send a monster because of Fissure. So that card is not an extender for you, and the opponent realizes that, and they scoop. Really, all you need to do with Generaider is play Field Spell and you win the game, but I'll take it. Yeah, because Generaider, you know, Har is a card, and add cards to my hand. I lose cards. You have an Omni Negate. That is not good for me. So yeah, I lose if you have Field Spell. But hey, we'll take those wins. And on this match, we were now 1 away from hitting Master 1, which I don't know if I really want to do. Or sorry, hitting Master Rank, not Master 1.